Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Elder Scrolls Lore, and before we begin, I'd like to thank Ares for allowing me to use this music. Shout out to the Discord chat with the link in the description below or in the channel header, feel free to join it there. And with that being said, I'm kind of talk a little bit about the channel. So, the 500 subscriber video is almost out, and I know we're nearing 600 subscribers at this point. We're getting very, very close, so expect the 600 subscribers to come out a lot sooner than just right when we hit 700 subscribers. I mean, in honesty, I didn't expect to hit 500 subscribers is the way I did, but I did. Most likely when we get to 600, because this is looking like a relatively soon or upcoming event. I'm hoping by December we can, because by December, midway through December, I'll be on break and I'm gonna stream. So I'm gonna stream for December, and we can actually like talk, communicate, interact. I know last time when I want to say it was 250. I was gonna do it initially for 200, but when I hit 250, I did the Skyrim stream, and it took me roughly like 6 hours to beat Skyrim all in one night. 7 hours actually. But that being said, we'll stream something. I'm not sure exactly what we'll stream, but we'll do that. With that being said, we're going to continue the series. Right now we have the Legionary videos, and just know that the recommendation for the navies, all the navies of the Tamrielic navies will come relatively soon. Probably, I don't know, in between. I might mix it in with the series, I might not. But just know I also didn't forget about the city series either. I'm going to start Morrowind soon as well. And then I have a script written by one of the members of the community again that will come out relatively soon as well. I still have to get the footage for it. I was initially going to get the footage yesterday, but I had homework and I have to prepare for a project I'm doing. So I got a speech coming up. I got a 20-minute project I got to present on next week, so I'm trying to prepare for that. So with that being said, those videos are coming. I didn't forget about them. Typically, especially towards this time of the year, this is when I get super busy. But that being said, I'm able to kind of bounce things around and rebound and get a lot of topics done towards the end of this month and the midway through the next month, purely because I'll be off on break from college. And so with that being said, those videos are coming. They're not forgotten, trust me. This semester's been quite hectic. Next semester should be quite easy for me. I'm getting very close to graduating now at this point, so there's that. With that being said, I'll stop stalling this video, and we'll head into the 10th Legion. I know you guys might be thinking, you might be sitting there and saying that the 10th Legion was covered during the Expeditionary Force video, because they were. However, the 10th Legion was repurposed and rebuilt, I guess repurposed is the better word for it, to fight in the Great War. And they were stationed in Hammerfell, actually, and they were consisting mostly of Hammerfell and I should say Red Guards. They consisted mostly Red Guards and Nords of Skyrim. So with that being said, during the Great War, actually I should say in a side note too, if you want to check out the earlier 10th Legion video, or like earlier 10th Legion history, check the Expeditionary Force video. It's a relatively short video, but that being said, when the Great War began, obviously the Thalmor took everyone by surprise, and in terms of the Empire, and they invaded Cyrodiil and Hammerfell. So the disunited Redguard forces offered very scattered resistance at this point, and there wasn't much to be done, and this included the 10th Legion. The 10th Legion was forced to make the March of Thirst across the Alkir Desert, and this initial surprise led the Thalmor to believe that the fight in Hammerfell was done. So they focused all their forces on the Imperial City. 173 of the Fourth Era saw some change for the Empire, and change of fortune, in fact. The Empire managed to win a small victory by liberating the siege on Higaeth, and it was only due to the Red Guards of Hammerfell that they were able to do this. A forebear army relieved the crown city of Higaeth and united and reconciled the two factions who had a bitter rivalry between one another. Now that being said, the 10th Legion was still in the north. They were in the northern part of the province, and they were licking their wounds. They were handed a pretty hefty defeat earlier on. With that being said, they received reinforcements from High Rock, and this gave them a chance to regroup and refill the ranks and add replacements to the line. So Lady Arenula of the Thalmor army succeeded in crossing the Alkir Desert. The Imperial Legion under General Desenius met them outside Skaven in a bloody and indecisive clash. Desenius would end up withdrawing and left the city of Skaven to her possession, but the Aldmeri armies were far too weak to continue their advance. The Empire wasn't done though, and General Desenius was preparing to drive the Aldmeri back from Skaven when he was ordered to return to Cyrodiil. He was unwilling to let this province go undefended. He managed to discharge a number of, and I use air quotes here, invalids to stay in the province and fight. Whether this is due to them being injured or having some sort of complication, or really just sort of, I'm going to assume any loose reason to stay is a reason they were discharged. And these invalids would make up the core of the army that would eventually drive the Thalmor back across the desert in 174 of the Fourth Era. Now the Thalmor would take heavy losses, and this is due to the Alakir warriors, not necessarily the Empire, because they would just pick them off one by one in guerrilla warfare. And now this would lead on, and this army would go on to defeat the Thalmor and have eventually sign their own separate treaty with the Thalmor in, this is the Second Treaty of Stros M'Kai, and the war would end. However, it's worth noting that the 10th Legion still played an important role in Hammerfell and securing Hammerfell's independence. These invalids were no longer part of the Legion. However, they still made up the core of the army and were able to secure the freedom of the Redguards. In a sense, they never returned back to Cyrodiil. At least we don't know if they did. I'm going to assume at this point they probably did not. And so the idea that Hammerfell is going to remain bitter at the Empire is seemingly kind of hard to say, because in the end of the day, they're the reason that Hammerfell was able to gain their independence. I'm not discrediting the Crown or Forebear alliance. That was definitely key and was pretty much the only way the Empire could hold a significant amount of resistance, at least foothold in the south and southern part of the province, which they had lost. But with that being said, since the Empire recalled the 10th Legion officially from the province, the 10th Legion would not be able to hold Hammerfell at all. But the 10th Legion story doesn't end here. General Desenius would end up leading a charge from the west onto the Imperial city during the Battle of the Red Ring, which ultimately led into the Imperial victory and the signing of their White Gold Concordat. Now, in this result, Lord Narafin's forces of the Thalmor would be completely annihilated, and Lord Narafin himself would be killed. And some people might look at this and say, well, this is reason the Empire should have went and fought back. However, you got to realize that none of the legions, including Desenius' forces, had over full strength or over half strength to continue on fighting. At this point, it was good that they signed this treaty. There's no way they had the strength to keep fighting. I guess they could have got better terms, but at the end of the day, that's a different argument. That is a different argument. This is 10th Legion. So with that being said, the story doesn't necessarily end with the 10th Legion here as well. It just kind of plateaus. There is really no continuation of what happens yet, because not many wars have happened. And the Skyrim Civil War broke out, but this isn't the 10th Legion here that's fighting. It's assumed it's in a different legion. I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head right now. I think it was like the 4th or something. I'm not positive, though. Don't quote me on that. But that being said, this is where the story of the 10th Legion doesn't end, but it sort of fades. And I'm assuming that this legion, who has a history of fighting wars with the Akaviri and the Thalmor, will play a part in the future to come. And hopefully, if there's a Great War, the Second Great War we get to fight in, and maybe the Elder Scrolls 6, which should be amazing. Or, in my personal theory of what the Elder Scrolls 6 should be, it should be Hammerfell. It should take place in the Second Great War, and you should take the control of someone who has influence in Hammerfell in terms of which side they should side with in terms of the Second Great War, because they are now independent. Be cool. And most likely we might get some answers about the 10th Legion there as well, because the invalids that were discharged in the province, we can see if they went back to Cyrodiil after the war and re-enlisted, or we can see if they settled down or even stayed in the Hammerfell army, because it would be really interesting to see if the 10th Legion invalids ended up making up the core of this army. So with that being said, what do you guys think? This has been the 10th Legion. I think this is one of the more interesting legions, and we have more information about it. Next, I believe I'm going to be doing the 8th Legion, which also took place in the Great War. With that being said, though, if you guys have any topics and suggestions, please let me know in the comments below, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed. There we go. I don't know if I said that. Don't think I did. I've been forgetting that in a lot of videos. I don't think there's anything else, though. I made most of my announcements at the beginning of the video, so hopefully you stuck through that and hit to this part. But I appreciate it if you made it to the end of this video, and I will see you guys around. Peace.